Good timing.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, yeah. We
Are
might
we
get
on?
canceled. I don't know. I
We'll
don't know
get
if I don't know if
canceled.
it picked that up. We'll see when this gets edited. I'll have to warn Nicole. Be careful, like the first 1 or 2 seconds of the podcast. It may be
Yeah.
something a little offensive.
Yeah. He was just with his cat. That's all. Tom Silva is the name of Ronnie's cat.
Yes. Jumped up in my lap right before we connected. And he's gone
Yes.
now.
He's
gone.
Yeah, 'cause
back
you were
there
making
hunting
fun of him.
hunting mice.
I saw him right. Well, he already passed by. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, 149. Here we are. Another week. Another wonderful opportunity for us to blow everyone away with the wisdom that comes out of our mouths.
Hey,
Yeah,
I gotta
but
say,
it got really quiet when I said wisdom
no.
coming out of our mouths.
Downloading right now.
I didn't
I'm
know
downloading.
if we were taking care of business first, but I gotta throw something out there. If you're not a patron, become a patron, because Friday night we had bourbon with the boys, and for 3 hours out of the 4, I was laughing. I could not stop laughing. And everybody out there who was there with us, thank you. Daggone it, that was so much fun.
And it went for 5.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, went till we went
No, 7.5.
7 and went till 2:30 in the morning. Is that what the
Yeah, that's 7.5 hours.
what? Who's counting?
It's like a work day.
Hey, we're up to 85 million in giveaways.
Yeah, I know. And and when we got off at 2:30, there were still either 6 or 7 online. And we all agreed that we probably should jump off. There's always somebody from Europe on there. They're like, it's middle of the day for me. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Mary Ann and my brother-in-law Bobby were trying to sleep, and we just heard you laughing and laughing and laughing. They go, "What were you talking about?" I go, "Absolutely nothing. It was just fun."
It was fun.
How many people ended up getting on there?
Oh, well, the way I looked at it, because people were filtering in and out,
Yeah.
I would say overall about 25, but it was a steady 15, 16.
Yeah, I would say 20-ish range forever.
Yeah.
And people were
Which is really good on the bourbon with the boys.
Yeah. My favorite part is that some people jump off because they have some type of like life requirement thing they have to do. And then they'll jump back on 2 hours later. They're back on, it's like, it was so funny.
Adam jumps on. Jumps on normally about 9, burns one, hangs out, but he burned one and then took off. But Ronnie, he came back later.
He came back in his new his camper. He went out to his camper and joined in that.
No way.
Yeah. And he was with all the way till the end. He was out there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was cool.
Oh.
He jumped on. Patrick Dragonfly jumped off and he came back on.
Oh, he did.
Yep, he came back on like maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Wow.
So some people have to jump on it. And that's the cool part. You can pop in and just say hi and stay as long as you want. And my favorite part is that people have things they're struggling with and they have questions that they're wondering, and you throw it out there to the group, and there's always somebody who is like a subject matter expert.
Yes.
And the latest one we had was somebody was talking about automation, home automation. You know how that's always changing? Like it was the brands change and all that, the different things. And Tyler with Forge 3D is an expert in that matter. And there was people and they started talking, and it was like a 15-minute discussion of which platform they use, which devices and all that. And it's like valuable information. It's awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Our group is extremely knowledgeable, and they're all smart in different categories or a bunch of categories.
There's sometimes somebody will start talking about CNC, and I'm amazed how many people jump in on that and talk about certain applications or software, but it's unbelievable. It's great.
We talked about CNC, we talked about 3D printing, we talked about
electrical.
We talked about electrical. Someone was having an electrical problem in their house. And
Did you talk about any drywall?
No, you weren't there.
Yeah.
Probably the closest thing for me would be the boat. I did talk about that being like drywall.
Yes.
that was that. But there's always someone that can help out. We talked about Mr. Cool units. We talked about shop heating and air and what we all do and what works for us, and other brands other than Mr. Cool. Talked about warranty issues, talked about, I mean, just it is a valuable little session of people and they're all doing the same thing. We all have
Right.
some version of a shop, whether it's a basement, a garage, a dedicated shop, and it's valuable stuff.
But then all of a sudden, somebody says something, and they look at me because they know what I'm thinking. They go,
Oh.
Sedge, you gonna jump in on this one?
Okay. And on the note that he's talking about, we have people that come on that are product developers. We had
Yes.
someone come on and show us a prototype of something they're developing. And they gave us an opportunity to name what the product is. And it
Yes.
was like, wow, this is so cool. And of course, there was a lot of funny things that couldn't be used as a product name, but it was fun to just see a product, talk about it. There was feedback given about
Yeah.
how it could be changed or how it could be better.
Yeah.
And it was a very valuable, I think, opportunity for even the product that was shown. So it's just really cool. It's a neat opportunity. And we've said it before. Sometimes life is so busy, you're like, oh, I've got to do that tonight. I never regret it when I get off.
Same.
It's so fun. You know, I got off at 2:30. It was hard for me to go to sleep because I was still just so pumped up. So it was cool.
I know it's from 7 to 10, and then all of a sudden I look up and it's 11:15. It just flies by.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
It was cool. Sorry you missed it, by the way. We talked about you several times, Jason. We
Yeah.
knew you
Talking
went
about
on
the
your
trash.
trip with your patron, and we knew you couldn't join. We tried to hold down the fort for you.
Yeah.
there was
We
some-
missed you.
We did miss you.
I thought I didn't take my laptop with me. I like decided at the last second that I wasn't going to take it because Ann, John, and myself didn't plan on doing the shop layout stuff. We did something different. So I thought about jumping on my phone from the hotel, but it was like, I don't know, a little after 10, I think, when I got back to my room, maybe 10:30-ish or so. And I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to go to bed and get up tomorrow and head over to his place. Sounds like you guys had a good time, though. For those that are listening that don't know what they're talking about, it's for our patrons, and the Bourbon with the Boys specifically is for our $20 tier or higher. We do that once a month, and then once every quarter, we allow everybody to come on. That's called Beers with the Boys. So if you want a chance, go to patreon.com/Green Suiters podcast and become a patron. And we don't have any new patrons.
Not a chance. That you get to do that for sure.
Yes.
You said
all patrons Beers with the Boys, and we usually have 35, 40 people throughout the course of the night on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you said if you want a chance, because we're always talking about giveaways, but
well, yeah, I mean, I still have to
perk.
email them the invite.
Yeah.
So maybe
that's a
if
perk.
they don't win a chance.
That's true. That's true.
I'm just kidding. Yes, everybody.
Oh, it is a perk that we really, I think we really had to meet and think about if we wanted to do that many calls, but it has proved, I think, to be beneficial because both of the calls have their place, and it's just really cool.
Well, we have no new patrons since last week. But we are still doing the giveaway. Technically, we could draw tonight, but I purposely didn't get it ready because today's the 29th. And so I always like to let, if somebody joins tomorrow, for example, then they would obviously have the chance to win. So I always wait until after the first. So next week we will be drawing our giveaway, and this month it is Tyler over at Forge 3D, giving away 2 more $100 gift cards to his website. So we will be drawing the winners for that next week, as well as another random festival swag item. And hopefully I'll mail out the one for the winner last month.
For those of you
before
on video,
I draw the next winner.
I'm currently working on some things from Forge 3D right now. I'm reorganizing. I love these little thin.
Me too. Me
The
too.
thin
I
ones.
love the stackable ones, right?
Stackable ones are the best.
They are the
A
best.
better use of space.
And
So-
the cool thing is Tyler's on with us on Bourbon with the Boys and Beers with the Boys. He's a super duper guy.
Yep. Another product,
Yeah.
a product person that can kind of touch on all of our insight to make better products. It's really cool. It's really neat.
Yeah. What a great community that this has
Yeah.
developed into.
Yes. I had the same thoughts. I was so excited about it. By myself at 2:30 in the morning when no one else was up. I was so excited about it. It was like time for bed. No one to talk to about it. I just went to bed lonely.
Lonely, I'm so lonely.
And then I woke up on
It is
Saturday
strange.
morning. I woke up on Saturday morning and did yard work all day. I was sweat soaked by 8 o'clock in the morning and finally parked the lawnmower at 3:30. But we did tons of work, my brother-in-law and I trimmed the trees, mulched the beds, did 40 bags of mulch. Oh my God.
Wow.
And then yesterday I did more work before the rain hit. And today I had to go into work and sleep.
Yeah,
I didn't sleep. I built a couple cabinets, but my God, was I exhausted.
I didn't realize Sunday was going to be such a rain day. I've gotten to the
Mhm.
point where I don't look ahead because it doesn't rain lately.
Yeah.
Like, what's this? What's this falling from the sky? And it was like
Yeah.
total washout on Sunday.
Yeah.
But yeah, Saturday I got a lot done too as well. Cameron had a bonfire on Friday, so I knew I wouldn't get him on Saturday morning. I just came out and stopped and I sanded on the boat. Sanded
Nice.
all day long. I put my ear things in and my buds on, and I just try to find a podcast that I want to listen to, and I just sand and you just go into the zone.
Yeah. You probably listen to one of those brainless podcasts like Off the Cut.
No, whenever I seem to listen to that, my sanders don't work. I don't know if it's a frequency. I don't know if it's something, but like I start having problems with my machines when I have that running. I don't know. And I get flagged by like even Apple has it flagged like as a listener, you get flagged.
Yeah.
As,
If you were using like Ryobi or something, those sanders probably would have worked because they
yes,
sound about as annoying as their
yes,
podcast does.
yeah, it's just hard. It's hard to use high quality tools and then listen to that podcast.
Well,
It
it's
makes
like the
me feel
tools.
a
Like,
fraud.
no, you're not touching me while you listen to that trash.
Yeah, I feel like a fraud. So I try
Yeah.
to find something a little higher quality. Yeah.
Right.
The only thing I touch is myself when I listen to them.
Jeez. That's kind of weird. Is that a compliment?
I don't know.
We're gonna unpack that later on.
We haven't. Yeah. That's for the after show. We actually haven't bagged on Off the Cut podcast in like a few episodes, I don't think.
Yeah, they forgot us on the last one, and they almost went a whole show. And then Eric at the end's like, "All right, we're signing off, going to the after show, but want to remind everybody, Green Soup sucks."
Yeah.
It was like the last thing that they said. I was like, "Oh, you got it in there. Okay, fun stuff. Available on Spotify, Apple,
Yeah.
and
all streaming platforms.
Yeah.
So, Jason, what have you been up to?
I have to say this publicly. I think I may have found one. It's probably my favorite area that I visited this year, and I've been to a lot of places. Plano, Texas, and the area that I was in is absolutely wonderful. Wonderful. The hotel was incredible. They have like this cool outdoor shopping center that's right there. There's tons of food stores. Just a beautiful area. Like everything is new. From the time I left the airport, which I flew into Dallas, Fort Worth, all the way, the whole drive, I'm just like looking out the window and I'm like, holy cow, like this is a really nice new area. Like everything is just new and clean and well maintained. And I was just really impressed. Really impressed. And Gary, I was talking about this in my stories, and Gary Furness writes me, he's like, "Oh, you say that about everywhere you go now." And it's like, no, I don't, but I have gone a couple places lately that are definitely eye openers. But part of the reason why we are starting to take some of these trips is because we are trying to get to know different states a little bit better, because we do know for a fact, we don't know how long we're going to be here, but we know we're not going to stay here forever. Like that's just, it's not going to happen. So, knowing some of these other places, I'll tell you what it reminded me of? Sedge, you'll know what I'm talking about here.
Texas.
No, yeah, it reminded me a lot of Texas. No, it reminded me a lot of like the Carmel Zionsville area in terms of being well maintained and like a lot more modern and new. Like that's kind of what it was like. And I think that's why I liked it so much. But
planned landscaping and maintained landscaping.
Yes. Like everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Were you in Frisco area or just Plano?
No. Plano.
Because Frisco is also part of that,
Also
which is
nice.
right next to that. I
Yeah.
believe that's where the Toyota headquarters is in Frisco. I believe.
Plano. It was right
Is
down
it
the street
Plano?
from me. I could see
Okay.
I could see it from my hotel.
So the people that I all know that moved down there, which is the entire group that I worked with, they all were relocated down there. It appears to me that they all live in Frisco.
Yeah, it's
Just
all
being
around the
honest.
same area.
That's where
Yeah.
I think a lot of people decide to live. So it tells me a lot. So that's like, looks like it's like 10 miles away from there. But yeah, like you said, it's a development just has boomed in the
Yeah,
last
it's so
15
nice.
years. And it's definitely, I hear nothing but good things about it. The only thing I've heard drawback is the real estate prices have just skyrocketed, like to the point of like crazy. But and a lot
That's
of that
still significantly cheaper though than most states. It may have skyrocketed for there, but I'm seeing houses out there in that area being built on social media. These houses that are like massive, top of the line everything on the inside for like less than $500,000. And I'm like, which to me, when I look at that for the size of house, considering what I paid here in Indiana for this house that is 20 years old, that doesn't have all the cool modern stuff. And a lot of those houses are on land, like 1 to 2 acres. I'm like, holy cow. But very nice area. Definitely somewhere that I would consider living in that area. But Nicole, she doesn't want to move down to Texas, and the summertime suck. But the reason I was down there was because Ann John, who is not only a patron of mine, but he is also a patron of this podcast. I do a drawing twice a year on my Patreon, kind of like the one that we did, and we're going to see Steve in Boston in October. I went out to his shop. I asked him before we went, what is it that you would like to do? Which the intent behind it originally was, I'll come to your shop and we can do some layout stuff, and we can, figure out a good layout for your space. Which we did talk a little bit about that, kind of like what we do when I'm at your house, Sedge, or you're over here and we're like brainstorming ideas. He's like, I want to build a cabinet from start to finish. And he said, what I really want to do is I just want to see like the steps that you take. And it's the little tiny nuggets that I want to get out of it that are things that I've been struggling with. So I asked him, I said, what are the things that you've been struggling with? And we like looked at some of the cabinets that he's built. There was some edge banding stuff there that he was having trouble with, LR32 setup, zeroing it out, all that kind of stuff. Like the things that, after you've used it quite a few times that to look for. The domino, understanding reference faces and how that all works, how to break down sheet goods. So like we kind of just went through the whole thing and we built a box. And he was so over the moon happy that we did that. And he was so happy by the end result of the cabinet. So basically what we would do is I would do something and explain why I'm doing it. And then he would do it to the other piece or whatever the case was. So it was just like little tiny tips and tricks along the way that he found so incredibly valuable. And I have to admit, I was a little hesitant about this trip being the first time and not really knowing how it was going to go. Not really knowing what to expect in terms of tools. Luckily, Ann John is a diehard festival fanatic like we are. So he actually had most of the stuff that I would like to use when building a cabinet. So that did make it a little bit nicer, but it was so much fun. I enjoyed it so much that I want to figure out a way to make this a bigger part of my business.
Oh, cool.
And I kind of like the idea of traveling to a person versus the person traveling to me for a couple of reasons. One, liability. I don't have to worry about people coming over here to the shop and having liability stuff and insurance stuff and all that. But what I really like about it is that not every single woodworker has the same tools. So while I may have taught him a specific way based on the tools that he had, maybe I go to somebody else's shop and they do have very basic entry-level tools and are looking for tips and tricks on how to do things easier, like make a straight edge guide for a circular saw or something like that, right? To rip down materials. And it was a lot of fun. Very, very glad that I did it. Really enjoyed it. Anjon's just a great guy. I met his wife and his daughter, or both of his daughters. They just recently had a second child, but it was a lot of fun. Food was phenomenal. Just
Do you have any wingies?
no, we didn't. We went to I got in Friday night. He came pick me up. We went to dinner. Went to this like Indian fusion place,
Oh, cool.
which was very good, and it was a brewery, which was very strange to be an Indian fusion place that was a brewery.
Interesting.
Food was excellent. The next day, we went to a really good taco joint for lunch, and then we went to this 3-story indoor. They have them across the U.S. It's called Food Hall. I don't know what other states they have them in, but basically every level has different restaurants and bars on every level, and then they have a big outdoor area where they had a concert that night actually, and whatever table you sit at, you can order in the app from any store, any drink, anything, and they will bring it from whatever restaurant it was ordered from directly to your table. It was very cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Food Hall.
Food Hall. I'll have to look that up, see where
Yes. It's very, I'd be interested actually too to see
wonder how
where
many
exactly they're at.
locations they have. That's kind of neat.
I don't know if it's just
it's a big hall with food.
basically, yeah, three story.
Food Hall.
It's a hall.
The food hall. Yes.
The hall of food.
They're like, what should we call this thing, guys? We need to come up with something.
So one thing that I kind of wish that I would have planned for a little bit earlier, but I think for these trips, kind of like what we're doing, I think Steve had mentioned when we go to Boston that he was trying to put together some sort of get together, whether we go somewhere and it's like a local meetup or we do it at his house. I think that's a really cool idea. So this time I was like, hey, why don't we do that? So I asked Anjon, I'm like, hey, what would you think if we like decided where we were going to go to dinner tomorrow night and we put it out there? So I did a little poll in my stories, and I had about 12 or 13 people that said that they were local and that they would come. And so I posted about it next morning. We're going to go here. We're going to be there from this time to this time. The place was so incredibly crowded. I wouldn't be surprised if people did show up and they just didn't know where we were. But we did have one individual show up, Michael. His Instagram is Dad Who Mows Best. He's a big yard
like
lawn guy.
Hey,
he has like those fancy like golf course lawnmowers.
Oh yeah, those are really cool.
Yeah, those are cool.
Hey, Steve, I know you're listening. There's a meeting hall in Boston area, and I used to go there on my way to the Red Sox games, and maybe we can organize something there called the Golden Banana.
I can only imagine what that is.
It's a really nice dance hall.
It's a restaurant with a slip and slide in it.
Yeah.
Down the middle.
Everybody up there's probably losing it right now listening.
The Golden
I'm just
Banana.
kidding. I'm just kidding. No way.
I'm pretty sure Mike dances there in his off time.
Does he really, Lido?
Yeah.
He was not on our call, by the way. Oh, I guess maybe he's not Bourbon. I didn't want to call him out. That's why he wasn't on our call.
That's how he was able to afford his new house.
Slide down the fire pole.
He commented on a post today, and I thought, wait a minute, I didn't see him on Friday. Okay, cool. It's funny. We even though we have all these people join, it's you quickly know, you're like, who was missing? Oh, wait a minute, they were missing. Don't let don't let life get in the way. We are the top priority.
You know what? One really cool thing that happened on the way back is this has never happened before. I didn't know that there was many flights that did this, but from Atlanta to Indianapolis, when I got up to the gate, my ticket had changed. So the guy, when I scanned the app for my ticket, this little new ticket comes out and he's like, okay, you're in B instead of C. And I'm like, oh, okay, great, whatever. I walk on the plane and I looked, it was one of the ones where like you enter kind of in the center of the plane and you can either go left where the first class seats are, or go right. And I walk in and I look left and they had the Delta One, like the lie flat seats.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm not up there. I did book first class for the flight, But I looked left and I'm like, yeah, that's not me. I just figured it was like an international one. So then I look right and I see the Comfort Plus and I was like, no way. So for my flight from Atlanta back here, I got to sit in the nice, fancy, comfy seats
Ah,
For what, an hour?
were those
for
the
an
same
hour.
ones that we
Well,
had on the way to
luckily
Germany?
there was a delay pushing out of the gate because of a problem with the door. And then when we landed because of the rain, all the crews were like backed up. So we actually had to sit out on the tarmac for like 20 minutes while they were trying to get a crew
Yeah.
to come out. So I did get to experience it a little bit longer.
Was
But,
it the
Isn't it
same-
kind of funny? You don't mind when you're in one of those seats.
nope,
Yeah, I was
don't
gonna,
mind at
delay.
all.
is it the same kind that we went and we went to Germany? We were in with
Yeah.
the little, you get your own little divider wall and
Yeah.
everything. Oh,
Yeah,
that was
so
cool.
they do have routes in the US. They're like Atlanta to like LA, any of the like the longer flights, they'll use those. But for some reason lately, the flights that have been going between Atlanta and Indianapolis, they've been a lot of the bigger planes. Um, so it was just really cool. I was like, this is
Hey,
amazing.
you know what? Getting one of those seats is the equivalent of getting a balcony on a cruise ship. Once you get
Oh,
one
yeah.
of those, once you get one of those, it's hard to go back.
It really is. Well, the last trip we went back to Germany on, uh, I upgraded Nicole when she went in March. When she was flying back from Paris, I upgraded her to one of those seats. And then so she was like, honey, just do it. Like the prices to upgrade, we got the tickets for free because of points, but the upgrade was really, really low for some reason. You know, they fluctuate. Like one day it's 300, the next day it's 2,000, and they play that stupid game. So I did it for me and Leo. It ruined me. It ruined me going to Germany because now all I want is those seats, but that's way too expensive for 4
Yeah,
people.
but you're kind of like, oh, we're here. Oh, well, I guess I can get up.
Yeah.
Yes, I can. I'm kind of okay right now, though.
Yeah.
Let everybody else get off. I'm fine right now. Just go
Yeah,
ahead.
fine. Just let me know when the last person's off the plane.
Gosh, that was amazing. It is
Yeah, it
a
was
lot
good.
more though. Ticket price is substantially more, like
Yeah.
crazy.
Yep. So that's what I did.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad that was a good experience for you. That's good insight as we're getting ready to do that more with the green suitors. So it's good that you kind of can get some tips on how to make that go more efficiently. That's good. I'm glad you were able to-
Yeah, that's actually a good point. You know, because I was thinking about that. I almost think that like going on a Friday, only having Saturday and coming back Sunday is almost a little short if you're actually like trying to teach or build something. But at the same time, it's not meant to be a long trip. And then again, like this trip was out of my pocket. Like, you know, I paid for the flight, I paid for the hotel, I paid for dinner Saturday night. He wouldn't let me pay for any of the other meals. So I mean, it's an expense, but if we would have had one more day, we could have done everything, right? We could have done, you know, maybe built a couple different style doors to put on and a couple different types of hardware. But
I guess
at the end of the
only thing
day,
that-
he was more interested in learning how to build boxes and build them accurately.
and the bad part is that the more time you add, the harder it is to schedule. That's the only thing.
Mhm.
It's like it's easy to carve out a weekend sometimes, but when you start getting into 4 days and stuff, it starts being harder to try to figure out when.
Yeah.
So better to do it than not do it at all.
I'm
You like
looking
that?
forward
That's
to
what
the
your
next one.
grandmother used to say, right?
She used to say that, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
She actually coined that phrase, I think.
she did. She patented it. It was on stickers. That's when
What
that's when
else
stickers
you
were,
come up with this?
that's when
It
stickers
was on
stickers were hand painted. So it took forever. She'd like roll out 5. You have to really know if you like somebody before you give them the sticker. You're like, no, I don't know if you're sticker worthy or not.
Hey,
So that's when she came out with Sticker Mule, actually.
Yeah.
really?
Have you heard of Sticker Mule? That was
Yeah.
her. That was her.
Speaking of stickers, I'm looking at a couple stickers that my buddy just sent me out of Texas. Do you guys know Bud Farmer?
Mm-hmm.
Is that,
Forest
all-
Design Company.
is that old man farmer's son?
Yes.
Yes. I know him.
He's out of Texas.
Yeah.
He's such a cool guy. He sent me
No, I
his
do know
shirt
him.
with his a slogan. I don't know if you could see this. It says "Build good into the world."
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
Let me,
cool.
well, I
What
can't
a-
see it.
Yeah,
All
it's,
I see is your,
um,
Oh, there you go. Oh yeah, that's nice. I like it.
Yeah, and it's all embroidered. If you're listening, thanks, bud.
That's awesome.
He's such a good buddy.
Was that
Yeah.
did the t-shirt have to be custom made to be able to fit you?
Yes, it's actually custom cut
Mhm.
to accentuate my lats.
I can
It's
tell.
it's
Very nice.
quadruple XL in the sleeves.
And then
Yes,
small on the waist.
it has to be. Hey, can you guys hear my dogs through my microphone?
No,
No.
Oh my God, they're going ballistic.
no,
Yeah,
not
can't
at
hear
all.
anything.
Holy
That
macaroni!
microphone
That's what you
Thank
get
God.
when you buy good microphones.
Yeah, the microphone
That's
does a
it.
great job of blocking things out. I've learned that. I don't even think about it anymore. Cameron regularly pulls up on his dirt bike, like his bike is revving and everything, and can't even hear it.
No kidding.
Yeah,
man.
it's pretty. It's
Yeah.
really good blocking sound.
They were just going ballistic at the door. Interesting. Must be a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah. You guys know what I did today?
Will you please tell us?
I took apart my table saw
And added drywall.
and added drive. No, I took apart my table saw and I put some new casters on it that are leveling.
Really?
Yes, that are leveling casters.
Huh? Did you oil them?
What do you mean?
You could use castor oil.
Did
Rim shot.
There you
No, I leveled out the table saw now. And it brought it up like 4 inches, 5 inches. So now it's like very, very comfortable for me to work at that thing. And then I realigned my slider, got everything. That thing is so dialed in now. Put the fence back on.
Do you know if you drop your back right caster about 3 degrees, it'll help keep your material up against your fence tight. Did you know that? A pro tip for you.
Interesting.
It
I'm
will.
totally.
He's so full of crap.
It will.
You're full of crap.
It's
Think
not a
about it.
terrible idea.
It will.
Kind of does make sense.
Hey,
No,
you know
you're
what?
full of
It's
crap.
called letting gravity work with you, not against you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
What's your shirt say on the back? What does it say on the back?
Oh, Forest Design Company, all embroidered.
It says I'm an idiot. Do you realize that? It says that on
Yeah.
the back. No, that is a nice
Well,
shirt.
So
I do like
nice. He's such a good dude, man.
I'm just gonna
I
wait.
wonder
for
if
him
he'll
to
be
go
down
by.
at the Texas Woodworking Festival. Because I that's where I met him last year.
Yeah, I met him. I
the
met
build-off.
him at the
Austin.
in the Austin when we did the Union
Mhm.
thing. That's where I met him. Were you there with us, Jason?
That
I
one
was-
I wasn't. I was in Germany for
Yeah.
that one.
I was.
Well,
That's the
when
one
did-
that Cameron was with us, right?
The fest? No. It wasn't a build off. It was a
I was with him
Festool
at a-
Connect New Tool Roadshow last year.
Oh,
and-
okay.
And he was Ronnie. He was, I think, he was at a build off, and
Yeah,
I
I
think
was
he
with-
was. Yeah, and then he was
I was
at the
with him at
build off with
build-off.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
he
first
was.
met him at the Festool Recharge event in Austin,
Okay.
and then he was part of the build off.
Yeah.
Yeah, wicked nice guy, and what a hell of a builder too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's been doing it his entire life. He used to build houses, and now he builds furniture, and
Hmm.
now he builds good into the world.
That's a good thing. If we all could do that,
Yep,
every place would be like Plano.
Plano, Texas.
There we go.
Yeah.
Is it Plano or Plain Old? Like plain old. It's like a plain place. Plain old Texas.
Plano.
Plano.
Plano,
Like
Texas.
Drano, but Plano.
Like Barrel O' Monkeys.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Except they don't
Okay.
hug.
Yeah.
No hugging?
No hugging. No arm
No
holding.
hugging. No
Yeah.
huggies.
No. None.
No huggies. Well, Ronnie, I see a weird white thing behind you
Looks
Yeah.
like a
that looks like a
I
spaceship.
tell you, Cameron and I've stood and stared. Like I did a final little touch-ups with the little green 2-part epoxy that's like final. That's going over it with a raking light, looking at it, finding every little piece. And we went today and I circled them with a Pica pencil and we did the final. So that's going to get sanded. And now we're going to do one more coat of the high build primer, sand that, and then we're ready for our finish coats. And I have to say that this has been the worst part of we've already decided, even though we haven't ever finished a boat, this is the worst part of building a boat. We've already decided that. It's for sure. Like there's nothing, we went through the whole steps today, went through everything. We're like, is this worse than, but no, I don't think, and I might be wrong. This isn't recorded, so no one can hold me to it. But I think this might be the worst step of building a boat.
It is recorded.
It is recorded. A lot of time has been spent on that. And it's funny, we've said on it a lot. We haven't been working on it continuously, as people probably know. But sometimes you walk in there just like, I don't want to deal with that. But we muscled through it in the last like 2 or 3 weeks, and not really a ton of time. We think about it, maybe like 6 hours, maybe total. But it's just, it sucks. It's not a fun part. You know, sometimes you want to just get a project done, and there's parts you just, especially when it's not for money and it's not for a client, it's dangerous because you can just let it sit. As you know, home projects, same thing.
Yeah.
But I strategically put this in the most important place in our shop for that reason, because I knew that there was going to be times we're not going to want to move forward. It's in our way, and it's sitting right in the main area of our shop. And you can't forget. If it was in our walkout basement area of my shop that I used to work out of, I could shut the door and forget it, but I can't here. So that kind of forces us to move along. So we've been, hitting it, and we're finally ready. I've ordered everything that I'm waiting for the product to come in, and it's going to be, the sides are totally different than the bottom, totally different than the boot stripe. It is so confusing online of what product to use. It reminds me of basement insulation. When you Google and look at how you insulate your basement, walkout basement, and depending on where you live in the country, the answers are completely different. And it's the same with a boat, because our boat more than likely may never be in salt water ever. But if your boat's going to be in salt water, the answer is completely different on what your coating is on the bottom. Do you do a epoxy on the bottom? Do you do, a layer that just like sloughs off over time, that's got these copper filaments in it, and it keeps the barnacles from wanting to attach?
Yeah. Bottom paint.
Yeah. Does it sit in the water or does it not? I'll decide on a product sometimes. I'm thinking, well, it's overkill. It's never gonna be in salt water, not gonna have barnacles, but this is the color I want. Then you look at the product, not available in the color you want. Then you go back and you're like, okay, then let me look back again. Because where we live in the fresh water area, and it's not going to be extended in water, we're able to use pretty much any solution. That's kind of where, we've got a lot of gray area where we are. But then you're thinking about, okay, well, just in case it ever ends up being there, we're tied up to next to a houseboat, maybe it might be in there for a week, maybe. So there's been a ton of research and investigation on my part when I go back, and I constantly think about, how do people build boats before the internet? I can't imagine. I just can't imagine, because I have to go on forums. I have to go on product pages. I have to go on all these different things. And it's just mind blowing. And also, I don't think there's one company that offers everything that you're wanting. Like, I think I'm using 3 different companies' products on this shell just for the coatings alone.
Are you using any all grip?
I'm using Interlux,
Yeah.
All Grip. I've got
Okay.
Total Boat and Pettit.
Pettit. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've got 4 products on here. Pettit is the high build primer I'm using.
Yep.
It's
And,
also something we can do at the Banana Shack in Boston.
Pettit.
You can pet
it.
So
That's called the golden banana.
Golden banana. Yeah.
Banana hammock.
Banana Shack, I said.
I'll tell you, I had one of those moments last night, those aha moments where you're like reinventing the wheel in your education.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, okay, I'm deciding that I'm going to go with an epoxy for the bottom up to what's called the boot stripe on the side. And I'm going to do like a wet edge, like polyurethane paint that's, if you get a scuff on it, and like epoxy's nice below, but say on the side, you get like a scratch or you get a scuff, you can repair it if it's like a polyurethane one part, easy. You can, and I start thinking, I'm like, well, where do I put the division line? How do I do that? And I start doing all this research, and I finally come to the realization that that stripe at the water line, that was not put there to be just like something pretty. It serves a purpose. That stripe is the division between the two different types of coatings. I was like, aha moment. That's why it's there. And I think it's so interesting to find out that things that we think are decorations are not. They're for a purpose. Just like, say, like the picture rail and moldings in old houses, that was to hang pictures from. It was not a molding,
Mhm.
it's to hang pictures from. And we all think that it's for something like a decorative molding. Same with the boot stripe. That's what that's for at the water line. It's to separate the two different types of coatings that we have. And then even more interesting, I'm planning on doing a red stripe. Guess what? The red stripe is available in pint size. Why? Because people use that for the stripe and they don't need any more of it. So it's so interesting to see how it's all been figured out before, way before I came along, way before I was born. And I'm kind of learning it on the back end, and it's like gelling in my mind. And we constantly talk about how easy it would be to build another boat. It would be so easy because it's been such a learning curve. And I would say the biggest learning curve for me has been products, epoxies, fillers, all the different types of coatings. And I worked at a paint store for 4 years in high school and college, and it's been total new concepts for me. So I feel more confident with the products. And that makes, when we flip it over, there's not going to be any new concepts with the products. And that's what's nice. We've got that part figured out. So we should be able to fly when we flip it over. Electrical is our step. When we flip it over, I wouldn't have thought that before, but you do the electrical, then you're not crawling and laying on your back in the boat everywhere. So we have to do that first. As tempted as I want to do those stripes so bad, that white dark wood stripes on the bow and on the back.
Mhm.
Oh, that's going to be so fun. I'm gonna have to wait till like towards the end to do that. And it'll save us bending over and working upside down.
So I would think that when you flip that thing over and you're doing the top side, that's going to be a lot more challenging because now you're actually building a bunch of stuff to put in it.
Well, what's cool is that you get to build that how you want. Like once you finish this, you're done with, like, you could put a motor on the back and you could technically drive it around. Everything on the top is subjective on how you want it to be. Where you put your gas tank, where you put the battery, where you put the electrical, the fuse box, all that. You get to decide where you want to put everything. Up to this point, it has been follow the plans as closely and perfectly as you can, no changes. And that's hard for me because I don't usually work from plans. So it's been really hard for me to follow plans. And I'm Cameron and I both are excited when we flip it over, we get to do what we want pretty
Are
much.
you going to be putting the finish on the bottom of it before you flip it over?
Yes.
Completely finished.
Because I was going to say, are you not at all concerned about like you're going to have finish on it? Now I'm going to be crawling all over the boat and stuff and I'm scuff it up. Or are you going to protect it somehow, like a
Well,
blanket or?
when you flip it over, I will make a carpeted, like wheeled little dolly that it goes on, and it'll stay on that. And the nice part is the boat like goes away from you. So even when you're leaning against it, you're not going to be up against the side because it kind of goes, away. So you want to have it as low as possible so you can reach over and do as much without having climbing in the boat. But when we flip it over, we've got to coat everything or put epoxy on it, do the fillets where you do like a 1 inch round over against all the frames where they meet the ply. There's things like that we have to do. But then we get to build a skeleton of the frame on the top before it's like it has a little layer of
Covered.
thin plywood, and then you're planking.
Covered.
We get to do the skeleton of the sides, back, front, and that's when you get to run all the wires, steering, cables, everything gets ran. It's enough that you want to have it laid out on paper where you don't leave something out. And that's what I'm currently like planning. I did my largest Amazon order I've ever done last night. It was crazy. Like I was getting emails like left. It was like, thank you for your order. Thank you for your order. Thank you for your order. And Amazon's amazing for building. That's another one. I can't imagine doing this, especially where we live, because we don't have a boat supply place anywhere. West Marine is in Louisville or from Cincinnati, like an hour away. So it's so nice to have Amazon to be able to send the things that we need, the supplies we can't get anywhere around here because we don't have like a major waterway. But I already can see that if I built another boat, it would be so much easier because it's been such a learning curve.
feel like it's
Hmm.
that way with anything like home projects and stuff too. Like I look forward to the next time I do tile work because the first time was so difficult and such a steep learning curve, but I learned so much that I know the next time will be twice as easy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about the layout. Yeah, for sure.
Said you look like you want to say something.
No, just what I did today. I built a couple cabinets. It's no big deal.
You
But
built
What'd you
at
build?
I've
work or home?
I just built a couple of small cabinets, catalog stands for customer service at work.
Oh, that's
Eh,
cool.
well, I had cut the material and banded it about a week and a half ago, and I just thought about the process. So I did one with the process and just understanding, because I didn't want to put any screws in it. I wanted to do glue up with dominoes, spanners, everything, just so it looks really clean in the office. And then the second one I just knocked out, not even thinking.
How'd you finish it?
I didn't. It's just they were both prototypes, and I'm not going to finish it. They're so happy with how it came out, just regular, uh, shot ply.
Okay.
It's all covered up with um catalogs or whatever and resources, and it's they were really happy. But it's kind of like you were talking about your boat, and a thought came across. And Jason, you talked earlier about Anjon and knowing the process. A box is a box is a box. It's just knowing the step by step what to do. And Ronnie, to go to your boat, if you didn't do that little green filler in there and you go to put your paint on there, it's going to pop, and that's where the imperfection is. So what a drag it is and how much of back and forth it is. It's kind of like today. I did 2 dry fits on each one, and I was like, oh, but I took it all apart and I sanded everything first before putting it together. And what if I had skipped that step?
Hmm.
Right? Tell me sanding is fun. I'll call you a liar. Sanding sucks, but it's one of those necessary things that you have to do and not skip. So you got to
Hmm.
do your due diligence in something, because when you comes to the end, everything will pop,
Yeah.
right? Eventually, I got to build like 5 or 6 more of these, and I'll take those and I'll just sand them out and I'll spray them with something. I'll finish them with something, but for now, those were just 2 prototypes that I built. They were over the moon on them. But it's you have to understand the process building something, but not skipping steps, because if you skip those steps, like that's a pain in a royal hump what you're doing with that back and forth. But the end result
Hmm.
will be perfect in your eyes. If you had
Yeah.
skipped some of those, like I'm looking right down here and I see you put that green filler in there, that might have been a little bit of a dent that you would have popped when you put the your top coat on.
Yeah, and that's something that from drywall work and other types of work that it's funny. I see on the forums all the time. People will say, "Well, I got it pretty close, and I'm sure once I paint it, it'll." Nope, it will not.
Nope, it
Paint will not
pops.
hide anything. So I am getting the advantage of learning from past experience. And I was actually pleasantly surprised when I put the white on there. Before it was like a mixture of it had ply with fiberglass cloth on top of it and then filling the obvious places. And I told Cameron, when we put solid white color on here, we're probably going to see a crazy amount of stuff. And I was pleasantly surprised that we nitpicked over it enough that it wasn't like ridiculous. The main places I had were on the seam of
Mhm.
the very bottom where you could see a little bit indentations from the fiberglass cloth, and we
Mhm.
filled those. We had, like you said, some little dent areas, like little places that just needed to be touched up, and it takes a raking light to be able to see that.
Yes.
And I know now that I'm going to sand this and I'm going to do one more coat of the high build primer and sand that, because the sides are going to be dark navy gloss blue. You can imagine I'm not going to be able to hide anything.
Nothing.
It is going to be called out 100%
Everything.
if there's anything. So luckily I've learned that the hard way over just projects that I've done in the past. So I hopefully won't be having any surprises. But at the same time, I've seen people on YouTube that have pointed out, they're like, you know what? Don't go crazy with the bottom of your boat. Unless you're in trouble, no one's ever going to see the bottom of your boat. Just flip it over, get it done and flip it over. So I'm trying to find a happy medium. But I think the sides are your money shot. People
Yes.
are going to see the sides, and they're also going to see the top, the solid wood color on the
Yes.
top. And from my research, I'm probably going to do 20 coats of varnish on the top. Sand at 5, 10, 15, and 20 is when you sand and just really get it built up nice and then polish it out. Cause I want it to be, I see a lot of videos and people that I look, as soon as I see the finish, I'm like, nope, no. It looks like, orange peel type bumpy. It's got to look like glass. Has to.
I forbid, how do you say? I pity the fool that runs into your boat and dings it.
I am going to do
And
something.
that'll happen the first time you put it in
Well,
the pond.
The cool part is the sides will be repairable very easily. They're not
Yeah.
epoxy. And on the back, on the transom on the side, I'm going to have a stainless steel, like a mirror finish stainless steel on the back and on the front. And those are the two places we had a boat before. That's the place that usually gets dinged when you go around to a dock. So we'll have some protection on there. But what's cool is anything that happens, we can fix it, whatever. And Cameron too, because he'll use the boat more than I will, for sure, without a doubt. Like everything we're doing, we're making it to his Jeep. But this is kind of an exercise for me. If this goes well, I'll be building a larger barrel back, like 25 foot, 27 foot. This is kind of like the test. So
what's the length of that?
This one is 17 feet long.
17.
It's a good size. It's a 5-person boat, but I would like to do an inboard 5 range. That would be fun. And that'll be like planking wood. That'll be a wood side. But this is a good place to get it. And we kind of went, a lot of people do, they build a boat called the Zip, and it's almost like a 2-seater boat, really small. Really small. And I was like, I know that's going to instantly be like, no, this isn't big enough. So we went with a larger one for this test. That's one that I think Cameron will enjoy and can use. You can ski behind it, all that kind of stuff. But the one that I would like to build after this would be a large inboard. It's more substantial. So this is kind of a test. And all the things I've learned from this will apply to that. So it'd be cool. It'll be fun. But I've learned so much.
What kind of wood are you using for the top side?
Mahogany. Mahogany.
Looks so good.
I'll be resawing it so each piece will match all the way down and around. I'm not going to use any screws or dowels. I'm going to epoxy it down and I'm not going to use, a lot of people use caulk, like white or black caulk between the planks. I'm going to actually use like white oak or bamboo.
Like the golden banana.
Yes. I'm going to actually do wood between there, which is going to significantly add to the work. But Cameron and I talked about it today. We had a final decision meeting today. People like Sedge, who grew up in Maine area and boat land, they understand that people put caulk between the wood like that. But where I live, if someone saw the boat and they saw little indentations of caulk between the wood, they would think, okay, I see how you pulled that off. They would not understand that that's a conventional way to do the plank.
Well, the whole thing, it's always been teak and holly.
Yes.
That's the traditional.
So I'm going to make them very thin so I don't have to worry about movement as much. I'm going to put the planking as Douglas fir marine ply. On the top is like sheathed with that. And that's the structure. And this is more of for looks, it's like a thick veneer. So I'm thinking like 1/4 inch is what I'm going to go with on the planking, the stripes, and then, thick around the bottom. It'll be wider on the sides. It has an 8-inch band going around it of like solid mahogany.
Yeah. When you have on the mega yachts down in Fort Lauderdale, very rarely did they go with teak and holly. It was always teak with SIS 440, which is the black caulking, and that's out of Tampa, teak decking systems. And my God, these guys would go through cases and cases of this because a lot of people, well, the ultra wealthy, just wanted that done almost every year, every other year.
Yeah, and I've watched when you do it right, you have to use a ton of blue tape, and you tape up the larger, like the mahogany strips, you tape them completely away. Then you take the caulking, you put it on there, and you scrape it with a slight indent all the way. And as I watch the process, I think I could pull off doing the holly small strips faster than I could pull off doing the caulking process.
Yes.
And that's the way I want to do it anyway. So
it looks so much better, Ronnie.
Yeah, I think it seems like it does to me too, even though I do really high-end boats that way. But I don't think, if I didn't know that before I did my boat research, I don't think anyone in my area around Kentucky would know that. And I think they would see that as almost like a homemade type thing on such a small boat. So
Mhm.
we're gonna just make it all wood across. And I'm using varnish on the top because varnish is you can redo it. You know,
Yes.
epoxy on the top, you're locked in. You have to somehow get it off someday, but varnish can be resurfaced and made to be amazing even after it's been outside for a while. So that's why I'm doing varnish on the top.
Every year.
Yeah, and well, every year for mine though, I mean, think about it realistically, it might be out like 7, 8 times in
Yeah.
the summer.
No.
You know, it's not, and it's going to be indoors other than that. So
It's
it
like
probably will
Yeah,
hold up.
where are you get store it after it's all done?
My shop, I have I have a side called the gravel side, and it's like a 32 by 24. It's where I keep my tractor. I keep some materials and things like that. I always plan on pouring the floor, and I just haven't. So I probably will pour the floor, and it already has a
Well,
garage door
now you
there.
can. You got that fancy cement mixer.
mud mixer.
Well, I probably with that much concrete, that's like 900 square feet of concrete. I would have a truck come with that. But Cameron and I will do it. We will do it. I feel comfortable doing concrete now. I totally would have a concrete truck come. The concrete truck driver will do most of the work. They'll put one of those big chutes in there and they'll start laying it. All we've got to do is just pull it with a screed board back, and then they leave and we finish it out. So that'll be a project for us, I guess, by like next year. We'll be doing that. I built that addition probably 10 years ago, and we always call it the
Hmm.
gravel side. It's separate from the whole building, like sealed off. But you know, when it's gravel, even like built like a pole barn, things can get in, like mice can get in, things like that. It didn't matter because I'm storing like leftover wood, I'm storing screen components, deck ceiling stuff, things like that. But if we start storing something like a boat or a car, I'd want it
Yeah.
concrete. So
Is that where you had the snake that time?
yes. Yes, and it's
Cool.
crazy. I used to think when I was younger that when I grew up, that things like that wouldn't bother me. When I go in there, I'm looking around. I'm looking. Cameron named the snake Seth. He's like, Dad, if we name it, it won't be as scary. So he's always like, "You seen Seth?" I'm like, "No, I have not seen Seth." But there's actually a snake skin hanging from one of the rafters from last year that's new, and it's about probably 3 or 4 feet long, and it's hanging on one of the rafters where they, you know how they get their skin and they pull it
Yep.
off. I found 3 of them in there of the snake skins where they pulled them off. I am not a fan of that. And I made the mistake of telling Kelly, she has not been out here. I would say she's been out here 2 times in the last 2 years, and it's 3 miles from her house. She won't come because she's terrified. I'm like, there's snakes. Snakes are everywhere. I realize that. They're everywhere. You don't realize it, but they're everywhere. But that's kind of like the scary, scary side. I'm not afraid of snakes like some people. I don't want to be surprised by one.
Yeah.
And the last time I saw him was I was clearing off. I had a shelf. I had a baker's rack metal shelf of leftover cedar, ipe, really high end woods that I saved from like pergolas and deck jobs. And I had them perfectly stacked. And I was being so productive. I was like, yeah, I'm getting all kinds of stuff done today. I started pulling Western red cedar off and I was rearranging it. I pulled it off and I was like, what's that? Like big black basketball looking thing. And I looked closer and I was like, oh, that is a snake and he's asleep. And I just stood back and he woke up and he just started extending his neck out. And I took a picture and sent it to Kelly. She was like, is that a snake? And I was like, yes, it is. And I shut the garage door and I I just left. And for people that wonder, it's like a black snake. People call it a rat snake. They're
Yeah.
apparently very good. People that have barns love them because they take care of mice. They do all those kind of things, which is great. That's awesome because I don't like mice. They tear stuff up. But at the same time, I'm not a big fan. I don't want to be surprised by a snake. So I think we're living in harmony right now, but I have not seen him since last year.
Oh,
But I see
cool.
evidence of him.
The black snake's not poisonous, is it?
No,
Venomous or anything?
no. We only have let's see, copperheads and rattlesnakes, like water moccasins. That's the only 2 poisonous snakes we have here.
Hmm.
Which rattlesnakes are not in our area generally. It's more Western Kentucky where the rocks
Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky. Which I saw one when we were dirt bike riding once at Land Between the Lakes. It's like 4 hours from here.
Mhm.
But I guess the most common one is water moccasins. Copperheads are in the water around here. But
Oh, yeah.
we're mainly garter snakes and black snakes is what I see around here. But
That's all we had. That's all we had growing up in Maine was
Yeah.
basically garter snakes. I didn't
Yeah.
see anything else. But still, they just ugh, I hate snakes.
They like to lay in the mulch when we're like mowing and stuff in the cool morning when it's starting it. That's when you'll see them laying out like sunning themselves, and it's
Mhm.
just like I'm okay. Like they keep their distance, I keep mine. I guess the best way to say it is I'm not going to kill one. I'm not going to be like when I see it, just like I saw it on that shelf. It's not like I could have totally took care of him, but I don't want to. I'm like I understand they serve a purpose. I'll have to seal my building up where he can't get back in eventually. But that's where we
Yeah.
go. So that's where I'll keep the boat, by the way. If it wasn't for that building, we maybe wouldn't have even taken on this boat project, because when you build something or have something, you got to think about where am I going to keep it? Where am I
Yeah, for sure.
When I first started my business, I paid $100 a trailer to store it at the storage buildings, and I had 3 trailers. It was $300 a month because I couldn't keep it in my
Jesus.
house. And that's what justified to me buying land and buying a shop, was because I was spending so much money on storing materials and trailers that we started going, we need to find something like fast. But it's nice to have a place that we can
So
do that.
so you bought the land first, then
It-
erected that shop?
No, I bought the land. It was like 6 acres. There was a 32 by 24 building with 12-foot ceilings. The guy owned a towing company. He was a mechanic, and he planned on putting a car lift in there. He had bought it and he decided that he wanted to move to Florida. So we bought it from him with the original 24 by 32. And that's where my CNC is. And it's also where I can put
Oh,
a van in my car. And then on the other side of that, because it was 12-foot ceilings, I was able to order um, trusses that were 30 feet long. And I was able to
Oh.
come down one level on the side, and they still have 10-foot ceilings on the gravel side. It's kind of the way Jason's backyard thing would be built. And then for my shop, I did the same thing on the other side. It steps down 3 feet to the foundation because it's a block foundation building. I stepped it in the ground 3 feet, and I poured a slab, and I did 30-foot trusses on that side. And that's how I have this room right here is a 32 by 30 room.
Sweet.
So I went off both sides of it, became the
Yeah.
structure. Over the last like 15 years, we've had it. So it's
Cool.
nice. And sometimes people are like, when are you adding on again? I'm happy. I've got plenty of space. I could Jason Bent strategize and make it even better on the layout and probably be, but the only thing is if we build the bigger boat, that's where that little teardrop trailer is right there.
Yeah.
It's where that's the only way we'll get the boat out. We're gonna have to cut the wall open back there because the boat's bigger than any door in here.
Oh, no shit.
And when we cut that out, it's like mine's well add on. So that's where I'm planning on adding on like a 24 by 30 range addition off the back.
So how many square feet total is the entire building?
Oh gosh, let's see. I would say 800 for a section. So 2,400,
Oh
2,600.
wow.
Yeah, total.
So you have to cut that wall behind you to put that into the gravel side?
Yeah, but I actually framed it out for a garage door when I built it.
Oh,
So
cool. I see
yeah,
it. Yeah.
They already, well, you can't see, it's got a header on the
Yeah, I
top.
see the header.
I even ran the electrical around in the wall.
Oh,
because
it's not a header. I just see that it's like a piece of molding.
That's a French cleat.
Oh,
board.
gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
So that little cat teardrop trailer has got a French
Yeah.
cleat on the back of it. I just hung it on there.
Oh, I like Russian cleats, not French cleats.
But I was so sure that I wasn't sure where I was gonna put garage door. So on every side of the shop has a framed out for a garage door, just in case. And I ran the electric
Oh.
around. So this is one right here that once I open it up and do like an 8-foot opening by like 9 or 10 feet, I might as well add on. It's flat
So
behind it.
if
perfectly
you
flat.
do an addition, are you building the addition?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've done them all. Yeah.
So so basically what you're saying is you had no problem building an outdoor covered patio area for me here at the house.
Are you setting me up right now?
He is.
I don't know what you're talking about. It seems like you're quite handy.
Well, it was fun. Cameron helped me with this when he was like 7. We did 8 years old. And we did this. He helped me trusses and everything. We did the whole thing ourselves. So it's going to be I think this back part will be the next thing for sure. Fun
So
stuff.
you're going to have to do that before you even get the boat out.
No, well, we can cut it out in a day and, get it out. But we talked about
But then
that.
what are you going to do? You're going to have a big hole in the side of the shop.
We had a meeting today about that. So it starts being, one of the concerns that we have to think about is HVAC type situation. Like how much square footage of living area do we want to add that we have to heat and cool? So we're talking about, do we make this after we open it up? Do we make it separate from the other space? Like gravel side isn't conditioned air at all. And we have to think about that, which part is conditioned and which part is not. This would have to be conditioned if we open this up because it would be the main boat building space and we would get all of our woodworking space back in this 32 by 30. Because that's been kind of a hindrance having this right here. This was my outfeed section of the table saw, and I turned it at an angle and it actually works fine. It shows you how much of your shop you don't really need that you think you do, because I lost about a third of my shop space and there's not been any operation that I've had since last October where I was like, oh, I wish I had that space. So it's interesting how you can, definitely use your space a lot better than what I was using it before. But I would like to have building a boat that's like 24 feet long. It'd be nice to have my own section like back here where it's out of the way completely. But it is good to be close to your tools. That's why we're so efficient. All the tools are right here. Whatever you need, grab it, So it's learning experience. But
Man,
I
that's
think
such
the
a
next
big
one will be cool.
space.
It is a big space. And I tell you, I think sometimes it's easier when your space is smaller to be more efficient. That's because when I had the center section 32 by 24, what really killed me was I got my CNC, which is 12 feet by 12 by 5. And I did not even really think about before it came in how much space I was going to lose. So for like a year, I was rolling all my tools out into the shop driveway in front of my shop, and I would have to build outdoor, indoor type situation. And I was in a bad situation. So I had to rush to build this because I didn't realize how much it was going to take away my workspace. I didn't really think about that, but I needed a full 4x8 machine to make it worth getting it. So that's the only thing over there now, is that and a place to park in the winter, things like that.
I was amazed the other night when you were telling me the weight of that CNC. It's 3,500 pounds.
Yeah, it's like 3,500. But my friend who has a equipment moving company sent his guys over and they had all the specialty equipment. That's what they do for like factories. They move stamping presses, machine, things like that. It was like nothing for him to come over and do it, but they set it into place for me. It has not moved for like 8 years. It's sitting exactly where we set it.
Wow.
I even thought about it. It'd be nice to take that and move it to this new section I'm talking about, to have it all kind of down at the same place. But at the same time, that can run up there and I can shut the door and it can run and I have a camera where I can watch it. It's kind of nice to have it away from me because those things can squeal. They squeal like little pigs.
Well, how
Yeah.
far away is it from you?
It's just up the stairs. There's a stair right here.
Oh,
So it's just
okay.
right up the stairs.
Hmm.
It's close enough. I can hear it running and you can hear when something goes wrong, but it's kind of nice to have it up there. So it's all woodworking tools down here, bench, assembly stations, that kind of stuff down here. And we do our cutting up there. Oh, that's another thing, by the way. I purposely did not use my CNC very much for this boat build because I wanted to learn. I would 100% on the next boat use my CNC for cutting all the frames, and it would be dramatically faster, dramatically. Using 1-inch material, cutting down like 7/8, then taking it off and running it through like the drum sander to free it, things like that. It would be dramatically faster, but it was good to try this one the standard way.
Really cool.
Fun stuff. I wish it actually paid and I would just work on that full time,
Well, it looks like you're gonna have after you're done with that, you'll have a full boat building studio too.
Hey, I would love to do it. I
That is
actually
so cool.
like to build custom boats. I would like it. It would be fun. I've also talked about before doing like the custom like RV type situation, like the trailers. I would like that too. But boats really attracts me even more. There's a lot to it, but it would be very rewarding to do that. I just think it would be a challenge to make it profitable. because you
I
put so
mean,
much time into it.
yeah, but I feel like that would be something that you could focus on later when you're not worrying about it being profitable. You're doing it because you enjoy it. I'm at the point now, like, I don't know, for the past year, it's like everything that I've been doing is so focused on content for social media purposes or something remodeling the house. So what does that entail? Most likely cabinetry. And while I love doing that stuff, like I have really gotten to a point now where I'm like, I really miss like just building a piece of furniture and doing something, even if it's like a simple thing,
Yeah.
like a simple thing. Like Sedge, I'm actually, I think you were here when I told them, um, Mary's moving into her new place, Rick and Melinda's daughter,
Yes. Yep.
and she wanted that little end table, or side table. It's a very basic design, but I told Nicole today, Melinda wrote, and I was like, as long as that they're okay waiting until like the end of August, by the end of August, I can have it to them. I don't want to turn on a camera. I just want to go out in the shop for like 3 days and just build this piece of furniture and just enjoy it and like
Yeah.
actually make something again that's not made of, plywood and
Yeah.
yeah.
It,
When you were saying about like having like a boat studio, all it made me think about was like, God, how cool would it be just to like, that's your life. Like that's all
yeah.
you build whatever you want and you get
Uh-huh.
to challenge yourself and take your time and the project might take a year, but it's okay.
Yeah,
It's
I do think that I have been building for money for so long. I have definitely lost touch with doing it for fun. And
Mhm.
this, I'm so glad that we took on this like stretch assignment because it is not for, a customer and it's just because we want to. And that's been so nice. But the only danger in that is it's the same as a window seat or your hall closet thing. No one's pressing you to do that. No one's gonna be like, hey, when you're getting that done. So you have to be on top of it. But
Yep.
it is, it reminds me of why I started doing woodworking. I like the challenge. I like to try things I've never tried before. And I feel like with the cabinetry thing and trim carpentry, you get to a certain point where there's not anything new. You're doing the same thing but different shapes. And I think I may have became a little bit bored with that. And so this has been really good for me to kind of like feel like it's like a different area that I know nothing about. And it's interesting how many things apply from trim carpentry, cabinetry. You can apply things to this that are even above what conventional boat building methods are. Like I know what I can do with this. It's kind of neat. It's cool. And it's going to be really good for Cameron. It's great education for him.
Were you gonna say something, Sedge?
Yeah.
It's just like you mentioned the window seat. You know, I didn't turn on the camera. I don't care. It was for Marianne. I needed to get it done. And just I have more family in town now. One of Marianne's sisters driving through to Wisconsin is spending the day with us. And they first thing they said when we sat down for a quick dinner, oh, we love the window seat. It's beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, I forgot I made that. And they were both sitting on it. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of cool. It all came together. Sometimes I just need to well, I'm in front of a camera during the day, and on the weekends I do a Sedge tool gig, and sometimes I forget how much I really like today. Just at work, I knocked out those two cabinets. People were, "Oh, this is so nice," and I'm like, "Okay." You need that for your ego, I think. You
And
need
also,
because that's what I am. I'm a woodworker. I'm a cabinet builder. I'm a furniture maker. You
yeah,
know.
that goes along with that. Your window seat and the thing you built today is something that you got to put together from your own brain, and no one else was telling you. Now, no, we're really thinking we would like to do. You don't have to hear anything. You get to do what you want, and I think that's the fun part of it. When you add a client into it, they can quickly take the fun out of it when
Oh,
they want to do something that is not going to look good or is not, and that makes it kind of be like, oh, this sucks. So
yeah.
that's the fun.
Or you have to. Marianne taught me this. Just do it in this color. That's what they want. And I go, it looks like crap. She goes, do
Yeah.
it. And then it gets delivered. And I go, what did they say? They go, they were crying. I go, because it looked like crap, right? They go, no, it's exactly what they wanted. They loved it.
Yeah,
So it's not sometimes you just have to check your taste at the, at
Mhm.
the counter. Just go
Yeah.
with the client. But God, it hurts sometimes
It does
because
hurt.
the colors they pick are horrendous.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
what they want. But you're right, Ronnie. It's what I wanted, what Marianne wanted.
And it makes it so much easier because when you're doing it for someone else, you'll second guess. Now, will they think that, will they like this? Will
Yeah.
they understand? Will they know why I did this? And then that's what keeps me up at night in my sleep. I'm thinking, okay, are they
Same.
going to be okay with this? And then every question you ask them is a new conversation. Do you want to waste your time talking about this? You're going to make them second guess this instead of just doing it. And if you don't talk to them about, you're risking that when you go there, they're going to be like, now, why is this like this? So you just can't
Yeah.
win. But I mean, what it comes down to is woodworking is amazing. I think everyone listens to our podcast or some type of building, but when you add when you become you have a client telling you, it kind of takes some of the fun away, without a doubt. Now, the end result when they're ecstatic is great and it makes it worth it. When they love
That's the
you,
only
love
thing I miss
you,
about it.
yeah, they love you. They're so
Well-
excited about it, but there's still some stress that goes along with that. And there's
It's-
timeline pressures and all that kind of
And
stuff.
chasing money sometimes.
Yes.
I chased money,
Yes.
and that'll take the wind out of your sails in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Because then you're doing projects you wouldn't even normally do.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And hello, here's the contract. You owe me this much.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I got avoided only once. And I go, "Okay, this is the last phone tag. Next time I'm knocking on your door." Boy, they called right back.
Mm. Yeah. I have one outstanding invoice from going on 2 years now. And I keep sending it to her. She's on Instagram. She's an influencer. It's crazy. And I just keep
What?
sending it. I just keep resending it. Yeah. It's funny. It's like for 1,000. And Kelly's always like, you need to call her. I'm like, you know what? She's getting my emails. I don't have time to call her, but I'm just going to keep sending it to her. She keeps thinking I'm forgetting. Not. Do you remember the pegboard walls we did with the dowels that was like the display shelves?
Yeah.
About that. She asked for one more and I gave it to her and still waiting for it. She has a shop, still waiting for her to pay. It's interesting. The good part for me was that because I built so many of them, it was a CNC project for the most part. And I was able to just like all the development was done. So I was able to, turn it out pretty quick, but it is Baltic birch pre-finished, with sanded edges, dowels, there's a lot that went into it, but, I think she's going to pay eventually.
On that note, we're going to stop this podcast because I want to get off the podcast and I want to know exactly who this person is.
Me too.
So,
Me
Thank
too.
you.
I'm
Thank you
dying.
so much, everybody,
Bye-bye.
for listening to episode 149
Bye
of
bye.
the Green Suiters podcast. But we really got to go. So we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.